Yesterday I went to see my baby. Woman, she's always on my mind. She keeps her precious smile around the table. That just makes me happy all the while. Yesterday I went to see my baby. Woman, she's always on my mind. She keeps her precious smile around the table. That just makes me happy all the while. Yesterday I went to see my baby. Yesterday my baby. Yesterday my baby. Yesterday my baby made me smile. Hello everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to my website. What are we going to do now?
Well, Michael, I think maybe if you could share with us a little bit about your past and how you discovered music and who your influencers were and who mentored you and what was the first instrument you picked up and when did you discover that this was something, an innate natural talent, and you really decided to dedicate your life to music?
Okay. I remember I was probably 6 years old when I felt like I wanted to play the guitar. I didn't have a guitar, but I had a broomstick that I walked around the house with, and that was my guitar. And I was like 6 when I realized that that's what I wanted to do. And my grandparents had an old piano back in one of the rooms or one of the houses back on the property that we had back then. And I used to go in there and climb up on that stool and mess around on that piano, and I knew that that was something I loved to do. I'd spent hours back there by myself just playing with the piano. So I guess that's when I first initially knew that I loved music, and that was something that I wanted to do. One of my influences early on, I guess, would be gospel music. My grandfather was a preacher, so it was a lot of gospel music played around the house. We had records. One of them I remember very well was an artist named Brooke Benton, was his name, and he did. There's a song I just fell in love with. It's called "There's a Brighter Day." I'll never forget that song. As a child, I played that record over and over and over again. And my grandfather would also take me to tent meetings with the Navajo Indians. I was born in Gallup, New Mexico, raised in Gallup partially, and then in El Paso. But I remember going to the tent meetings with my grandfather, and there was an old Navajo man that played the guitar, and I would go with him just to hear that guy play the same lick over and over again. I loved it, and that's why I said I had an interest in guitar from then on, as well as the piano. And I was listening to gospel music. My grandmother sang. My mother played the piano in the church when I was a little kid. And as I grew up, I think more of the influences I got was from the radio. Like I really liked Marvin Gaye a lot. I listened to him a bunch and did a bunch of his hit songs back when I was in my teens, and we started forming our bands. And one of the things we did was Heard It Through the Grapevine by Marvin Gaye and many of his other songs. And started picking up blues. The first paying gig I had, I was 14, and I used to go hang out at this blues club in El Paso. I can't remember the name of the place, but I remember the guy that was the guitarist that had a gig there. His name was Johnny Carson, of course, like, you know, the TV, but this old black man that played blues guitar. One day I was there one night, and I don't know, I shouldn't have been in there. I was too young, but I was in there somehow. And their bass player didn't show up, so he asked the crowd, "Is there anybody out there that knows how to play bass?" I raised my hand up. I had never played a bass in my life, but I was willing to try it. And he gave me this big, huge white Fender Precision bass. So I started playing that, and he showed me the licks, what I needed to play, and well, you know what? I had a regular gig playing with this guy, and I'd make like $30, and I was like, woo! You can get paid for this? So I was ruined from then on. So, and living in El Paso, that's where I started. I learned a little bit about conjunto music, and I spoke Spanish back then. We lived only a few blocks from the border as a child growing up in the first, second grade, and so forth like that. It was I was the only black in the entire school. So I had to learn Spanish because everybody spoke Spanish around me, and it was great, you know. When we moved out of that area, we moved to a different part of El Paso and went to high school there, at Bel Air High School there. That's when I started forming my own bands. And the first band we had was called the Soul Saints. And we would just, we had no gigs. We would just show up at people's parties and set up our stuff. And, hey, we're a band. We're here to play for your party. And we just go play. And everybody was cool with it. They'd go, okay. And I guess we sounded halfway decent because nobody told us to tear down and get out of there. So we did a bunch of parties like that. And then, let's see. Wow, there's lots of different influences with my music because I love country music as well. Back then, I listened to, Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson and all those guys. And they had a lot of, love the country stuff as well as blues. I didn't really get really deep into the blues until I moved to Corpus Christi, and that was like 81. And then I met a couple of friends there, like Rocky Benton, who played harmonica, and another harmonica. It's always been harmonica players turning me on to the blues. There's a guy named Dickie Neely. He's a really good friend of mine. Him and I started doing duo gigs together around Corpus, and he had a collection of blues albums that was out of this world, and we'd pick out songs from those albums, and we started playing around Corpus Christi and worked quite a bit doing that. Let's see. You asked about what else?
Well, you've traveled internationally, so I'm wondering how you kind of bridged that gap between playing locally and then...
Yeah, well, when I moved to Austin in 91, I moved here to work with a band called Duck Soup, which was a popular dance band back then, or party band, private party band, sort of. And that got me to Austin, and when I got involved here with a lot of different other musicians after I left Duck Soup, and I ran into a couple of guys that were from France, Philippe Big Dez Fernandez and Nico Leofonte, and they were introduced to me through another fellow named John Turner, who was a drummer that played with Edgar Winter for many years. And John had seen me play, and he told these guys from France, hey, that's a guy you need to connect with and take him over to Europe with you. So they asked me, hey, do you want to do a record? And we got together one weekend, and we did this record, and then we did 3 tours of France, and we went to Corsica, Belgium, the Netherlands. So, yeah, that was really cool. I met some really cool people there. Another guy who was instrumental in getting us the bookings in Corsica. His name was Philippe Poivetin, and he played the harmonica also. What is it with all these harmonica players? But yeah, it's just been really wonderful to meet all these really cool people from Europe. And there's another guy named Fabrizio Poggi, who's from Italy, and I just recently did a record with him, and it was It was a lot of fun. He's an amazing harmonica player once again.
And that record's available in Europe, correct?
Yeah, that record's available here and in Europe. It's worldwide. You can buy it anywhere. It's what is the title of that record? I don't even remember the name of that one. Oh, Texas Blues Voices is the name of it. Lots of artists on there. Fantastic local Austin artists and just artists from all over Texas that are great blues artists. Really privileged to be a part of that.
Actually, you have a page on your website.
I have a page on the website
dedicated to that.
all dedicated to the
that collaboration.
to that record, and with working with Fabrizio Poggi. I hope to work with him some more. He's now touring with Guy Davis, who's a blues artist that I think somewhere on the East Coast.
But you also have some solo records, correct?
Yeah, the first solo record I did was with Big Dez and Nico, and it was called Bottom of the Blues, and I'm going to get that redone, remastered, and put it out again.
Is that the one that's only in Europe?
Yeah, it's the only one that we released in Europe. We didn't really do much with it here in the States, so I need to do that. I'm going to go ahead and get that redone and put it out here with Nico Leofonte on drums, Big Dez on the guitar, and I'm on bass and piano, and then we have Tom Robinson on the saxophone. And that was a really fun project, and I'd love to do that again sometime. So,
What about your other solo recording?
the latest one was 2008, and that was produced by my good friend David Murray. He pulled together a group of musicians that just today it still blows my mind. I mean, they've got people like Roscoe Beck played the bass throughout the entire thing. We've got David Grissom playing guitar on it. Robin Ford's on it. No, that's a different record. Robin Ford's on a different record. We've got Riley Osborne playing the keyboards on a lot of it. We've got Michael Ramos. Of course, David plays guitar as good as anybody, and him and I pretty much wrote most of the material together, a lot of it, and some of it's mine, some of it's his. And yeah, I'm real proud of that record. There's a lot of good songs on there and a lot of fantastic artists. I could go on with the names. Cindy Cash Dollar. God, there's so many great singers on there. Kira Small's on it. Bill Small. We had Lisa Pankratz on some drums, and Brad Fordham on the bass. More and more. Let's see, what other questions you got for me?
Well, you know, with the career that you've had, you know just about everybody on the music scene, and
a lot of people.
have collaborated with so many people.
Well, Joe Ferlini is one of my good friends. That I worked with him for many years, and we've produced 3 records. And I still work with him. Joe and I still do some projects together. I'd like to do another recording project with him. We've started, and last year we started working on that. So I don't know how long that's going to take to come to fruition, but we're still working on it. So, and I love working with Joe. He's a fantastic guitarist and songwriter, collaborator. Together, we really work together well. Veda Cantu playing drums with us, and it's just amazing that I've had so many good collaborations over the years.
So, with all that going around the world and traveling internationally, you decided to settle in Austin because of the music scene here, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm. The music scene here is really great. There's a lot of wonderful people working in the scene here. Lots of opportunities, and I've done lots of recording on other people's records. I've done lots of background vocals. I've played bass, keyboards, guitar on other people's records, and it's just been fantastic. What a great place to do music and meet others. Roscoe Beck's one of the other people that I've worked with, and I'm real excited about a record about to come out that he produced for Jennifer Warnes, and I'm on that one as a background singer and featured singer on that record too, which is not yet out, but be out sometime this year. So I'm looking forward to that. Other musicians that I've worked with around Austin, there's just so many. Yesterday I went to see my baby. Woman, she's always on my mind. She keeps her precious smile around the table. That just makes me happy all the while. Yesterday I went to see my baby. Woman, she's always on my mind. She keeps her precious smile around the table. That just makes me happy all the while.